you and hopefully provide you that high quality care that you deserve in your time of need. So that's why we're here tonight. I'm excited to have this opportunity. I think, Olga, do you want the HKS? How do you want to go next? Whatever you want. I'm here for you.
Thank you, Trish. Thank you. So I would like to have Richard and Whitney come up and speak to the project, and however you want to.
I'm going to go first briefly and then pass it over to Richard. I like having that power. So I'm Whitney Peace with HKS. I'm the principal in charge on this project. And when we walked up here today, Richard and I said, we've been here before. And we actually walked through this space before when we took one of the bus rides, because we haven't only just been looking at the existing hospital, walking through it. We've been on numerous bus rides, seeing the community, seeing where everyone lives around town, and really knowing who you are and what you need. So a few details, and Richard will expound on it, is that we are doubling the size of the ED. We are going towards a level 1. We are going to private rooms as opposed to shared rooms. We are going to have an OB ED, so women that are coming in will be able to go into their own area as opposed to being in the mix of the emergency department.
Thank you, Whitney. You gonna stand for Whitney?
Yes.
Great. You can just stay here while I talk. That's the way it works. Thank you for letting us come in and talk about this project. This is a special project for us. It's in the town that we work and we live. It's in the county in which we work and live. That was important to our team, and the reason why we feel that Harris selected us is we want to go about this project the right way. We want to have people in Harris County building the future for LBJ Hospital and the Harris Health System. And that's really important because, like you've heard, we have a lot of people involved here tonight from Harris Health. There are also, in support of them, hundreds of professionals that Whitney and I get to lead, along with JLL and the rest of our design team, that bring expertise to the table. It's important to understand we're just architects. We don't know the ins and outs about civil needs, instructional needs, or landscape needs, or public transportation needs all by ourselves. We rely on our team. And we're able to bring teams forward that can represent your needs in providing the hospital of the future when you need it the most. So to build up what Whitney has told you about, one of the things we are really interested in is access. We want to provide you the easiest and most pleasant experience when you have to do something that's not pleasant. When you have to go to the hospital, we want you to have to be able to do that without barricades, without the ability, if you can't drive, we want to give you metro options. And as it stands right now, we're looking into 2. There's a BSRB rapid transit station that is planned for the Lockwood-Kelly intersection. That's connected throughout town on the Gray Line. We're working with Metro on a regular basis to make sure that we have that coordinated. We're also looking at the local routes to make sure that we're trying to get that bus onto the campus so that you can have access to the hospital from the local transit centers like the Cashmere Transit Center. We want this hospital, as Trish talked about, it's no longer just the hospital there, it's the entire site. It's expanding. The new LBJ is expanding. It's no longer just that one building. We're adding a new building that's going to take care of the hospital-based needs you have, and we're going to expand the services for outpatient services and clinic services. They're going to push back into that existing hospital. So the entire site is there to serve Harris County and the community that's surrounded. We feel like that's critical to the point where we have the building physically representing the west and northwest side of the town, being able to play off of the southwest corner. Because right now, you have to actually get on Kelly to get there. It's behind some trees. Trees are nice, but we want you to know that this facility is there, that it's accessible. Those sort of things we can do with architecture makes it easier for you to get care. As we double the amount of beds, the beds are now going to be, when you mentioned private rooms, they're now going to be the standard of care. We're going to provide additional, almost doubling the emergency center. We're going to have a standard of care that's different. Everything that goes on with it, surgery, imaging, cancer services, all those things are getting put into this new hospital. As we look at it, we mentioned that the existing facility flooded. We're making sure that this building is set up to not flood. We can't promise anything, that's not the way God works. But we are making sure that we're doing what we can to make this the most accessible, the most accurate, and the most healthy approach to providing that care. One of the things that we love to talk about, because we feel like it's unique, is the farm. We don't see farms on healthcare campuses all that much, but y'all have one of the best we've ever seen. In fact, it's by far, it is a differentiator for Harris County, for LBJ, and Harris Health. It is providing the prevention aspect. Those of us that are in health, we say we're in healthcare, we're just architects. But if you listen to the real healthcare providers, the guys sitting over here, they talk about the desire to provide prevention, right? That you're getting the care that you need before you need it. We talk about healthy food, education, making sure that we know how to eat right. That farm represents that desire to make sure that you have access. You have knowledge and you have access to those sort of things. And we're just a small part of it. We just get to be the small part that takes up the next 4 years. And actually, we're doing this right now. We start design next week. We're going to be on campus next week, and we're going to start design. That's why it's important that we're here today to make sure that you have input as we start design. So with that, I'm going to stop talking. Okay, yeah. So we mentioned that the goal is to open the building sometime in 2028. We started design, or what we call pre-design in the summer, where we worked on visioning, programming, which means we made a list of the rooms that go into the project. We then master planned the entire site. In other words, let's go ahead and just kind of get an idea of where we think the building's going to go, the hospital's going to go. What does that mean for parking? What does that mean for public transportation? We master planned it out. We kind of came up with a general idea. All that was for all of us to, within the project, to get a good idea. We finished that in October and went to the board of trustees. They said, yep, let's move, let's keep going. We started schematics. What we call basic services. It's what you imagine with drawing a house plan. We start schematic next week. We're going to take the next 45 months to do that. Rooms, doors, departments, what goes next to what? How many floors do we have? That sort of thing. That starts next week. Then later on this year, we're going to do design development. We're going to get into the details. All that to be said, we're going to issue drawings to a builder the spring of 24. The builder's going to take spring of 24 to sometime early to mid 28 to build the project. So it could be within 18 months or so, you start to see things happen on the site. Yes, sir. That's awesome.
Thank you for coming out and talking to the city community and writing this. I think this is a much, much needed project. I've got a couple of questions. You mentioned, and I don't know this, that when they closed, was it Jeff Davis in the outlet by Allen Park? Well, how many beds did that hospital have? Do you know that?
I'm not aware of that.
I would have thought that the Jeff Harris Healthcare would have a forethought to see that 250 licensed beds, given the timeline of the growing Houston community, that you would have more than 215 beds.
So
That's my thinking ahead. The other thing is, that's one question. Okay, how did y'all come up with that? But the other question is, is if you already have a design already made up, then what input can we provide for you tonight?
So, let me start with that, and then I want to go back to the bed count, and I think Trish's going to add in here too. The design is very.
Read the question.
Oh, okay. She wanted, first off, she asked, how was the 215 determined for the LBJ hospital? And then a follow-up is, if we have a design from the master plan, why are we still asking for input? Well, the design is very preliminary. It provides some major assumptions and parameters that we know as professionals in the business, but it doesn't input all of the input from the users and from the community. The design doesn't end until almost a year from now. Next October is when we're going to be finished with the design that's incorporated everything that we're talking about now. We've given some good, solid steps to help make some decisions. It's kind of like setting a hypothesis. We give an educated guess so we can make the next step. But it's only just a generic quality standard.
I'll let hold y'all to that, so y'all can come back to the community.
Absolutely, and then,
Let us input on
Yeah.
what we.
absolutely, I'll talked about that we're here, but it doesn't necessarily have to be the last time that we're here. The idea is when we come back. Let me go back to the question about the 215. Standards within healthcare have changed since LBJ was built 33 years ago. When it was first built, you could have 2 patients in one room. That-
Actually, the original LBJ had 4 patients in one room. So,
Wait, I think you
so,
gotta make the line.
so just to backdrop, I'm sure the group that led Harris Health System, or Harris County Hospital District as it was known then, did their planning. The old Jeff Davis was only women's children's, remember? So LBJ was a new hospital that was really a general hospital, a community hospital. So the mission of it changed a little bit, but to the point, when it was built, there were 4 patients in every room. And so, as Richard said, the requirements for healthcare changed over time, and that meant that Harris Health System then had to change too, so that our patients would have a similar standard of care to what the rest of the community was. And so over the last decade, and only ending about 4 years ago, Harris Health went through the process at both the Ben Taub Hospital and the LBJ Hospital to convert those 4-person rooms to 2-person rooms. So on the one hand, it was absolutely the right thing to do for the patients that were in the bed, but then it did put additional pressures on the hospital that the community had to help absorb because our bed size was effectively significantly reduced. Yes, ma'am. Does that answer your question?
Yes, yes, I'm just, the only thought I had, it seemed that the officials of Harris Health, I suppose those were those that made the decision, would have some forethought that after so many years, the community use would have grown and you would have to have more beds. That was my thinking there, my thought process on how that
Yes,
would
yes,
happen.
and just as you thought that, I would just say that's the precursor that we provided the architectural team for the starting point for the design that we're here to seek your input. So they did that same type of community research. They looked at our current populations, the growth in the area, where the projected growth is for the next 20 to 40 years. And the good news is LBJ is still in the right spot. So that's the good news. And so that's the foundation that the initial programming is being done on, and that's why we're here to shape that and refine that to get the input. Like you're asking great questions.
So is this medical center going to stay where it's at on the East Freeway? You're just adding on, have you purchased the land already?
So we
To
own.
is it gonna be built there, first of all?
It's not. We're not tearing down the current hospital.
No, you're adding.
But
on
we're
to-
adding on to, we will be eventually connecting it via some sort of a hallway or tunnel, some sort of a connector. But it is going to be its own freestanding. If you've been where the parking lots are now, we think it's gonna be closer to the corner of Lockwood and Kelly. So there's some empty lots there, and then where staff and patients park. We think it's gonna be over there. And I would say also, in anticipation of this project, we got funding a couple of years ago and are just, you will see some large machinery out there now. They're actually building a parking garage so that by the time in a couple of years when we're ready to build a new hospital, we'll be able to free up that flat surface parking because we'll have a new garage. So there's a little bit of planning to at least get that to make this possible. So, but yes, it's gonna, and as Richard was saying, it's gonna be oriented closer to Lockwood because that's where Metro is putting a bus rapid transit line. A large portion of our patients travel to us via Metro, and so they've been working really closely with that.
So you want from us, what type of services do we want to see there?
What type of services, what type of amenities? What would, you know, this is the people's hospital, right? Our medical center, your medical center. Taxpayer dollars are the largest contributor to support what we do. And it should reflect the spirit of Northeast Houston, of the communities that we serve. And you know, one thing we are gonna have, I know you also would agree, right now, if you're having a stroke or a heart attack, we will stabilize you at LBJ Hospital, but we don't have the specialty needs that you medically require, so we have to transfer you. So if you called for 911 at your house and you were having a stroke up in Kashmir, they would not come to LBJ. They would take you straight into the Texas Medical Center to one of the other hospitals. We don't think you should have to drive by your hospital in the Northeast side. So that's something that as we looked at opportunities, it had nothing to do with our current volume because our current volume is 0 because it all drives by, but we know we needed to add that. And so those are some of the things that I hope that we thought of those things, but there's other things that, how do we make this so it's a hospital that you would be proud to come to, that you would be proud to say represents Harris County and Northeast Houston? Thank you. I have one question on this side. Is that okay?
So we talked about the ER, and that pretty much you guys have seen double the patients in the design. And then we're also talking about projected work. So what is that?
So you asked about the LBJ's projecting double the growth. What is the emergency room, the ER?
So right now, you guys are saying that you pretty much serve double
Yeah.
of the patients that was intended for it.
Yeah.
And we also talked about projected.
Right. So yes, so we are looking at close to 100 exam rooms that will cover everything from fast track, which is very low acuity, not that sick, what we call E4s and 5s, all the way up to trauma level 1. This being a trauma center, the persona of the emergency center, the EC is going to change. There's going to be the potential for higher acuity. Those numbers are accounted for, it will be accounted for in the design. We also, we're looking at helipad locations. One on top of the building or adjacent to it, one on top of the tower that has a trauma elevator that goes directly into the EC, into the trauma area. That has directly, that same elevator, it will have access to surgery and to imaging so that people that really need emergent care during a level 1 trauma get that when they need it. It's worth noting that that we're looking at the ability to provide urgent care. So as we talked about the existing hospital, we're not going to knock it down. We're going to look at additional services that can be provided in the existing hospital. One of those options could be an urgent care that utilizes the existing EC so that if you need stitches or you have a fever, that you can go there instead of being caught up in what most likely will be a level 1 trauma center. And that's increasing the acuity of your emergency center. So expanded services for sure on that. Yes.
just to acknowledge that change, right now, we don't have a single urgent care center at Charis Health System. So that's feedback that we've gotten. And now part of the strategic plan for our ambulatory part of our system does include urgent care centers going in the future. And so to Richard's point, you know, we also need input, like what's gonna happen in the current hospital. And I think that option then to decide as a patient whether you just need an urgent care center or you really need to go to the emergency center is something now that our patients didn't have that option before. And I think, you know, that could have some maybe, you know, unnecessary care, people seeking care in our emergency center. Sir?
What I hear to you is going to include the LBJ. My primary concern in my community is not around my community. We concern especially in the East End. We don't have an emergency room around here for us. Obviously, we don't have an extended possibility. You can create a possibility to create something like that in the East End. We need a lot of empty lots, warehouses, empty, a lot of things, you know, that can be utilized for something like that for our community. Because for us to drive from here to there, not everybody has the possibility sometimes. You can dissect them, we the pain and the part to save our life. But we don't have no emergency room around here. I've been talking to a lot of elected officials about these things, nothing happened. For years, I myself, I got an accident here, accident the other here. I got to go to St. Joseph and wait there, or go all the way to the medical center, or call the ambulance. And then the place to work quickly. So I said, you can create the possibility to create something like this in the East End. Like for example, you go 70 feet in Harvard North, there's a lot of empty land right there. Empty land, I don't know how many acres there, maybe 50 acres. But a lot of places empty here, and when the Elderly Commissioner Court, you can appropriate those places for us, for our community. Can you create them, or you just gonna talk about the LBJ over there? Because I've been there too, and it's a hospital to be there.
Sir, I apologize for the lack of access here. As I stated, there is a strategic plan in the ambulatory. I don't know that there's anything designed right now to come into this part of the East End. I know we're looking to expand our, not only primary, but our specialty care embedded in some of our existing primary care locations. And with the transition to creating urgent care centers, that's a possibility. Harris Health System proper will probably not be establishing a freestanding emergency center in this part of town. We could look to partner with others and are happy to do that. And, you know, with your connections, we'll happy, and I know someone's taking notes, that we will have due outs to some of these questions and get back to you. But the purpose for tonight was really to talk about this program that we've been working towards, really trying to get input for a new hospital on the LBJ campus specifically. I hear you, I acknowledge you, but that was the purpose that I'm actually most prepared to talk about.
And I just want to just jump in here and say to you that for the community of these students is that you have your elected officials here. And then you have a representative from Commissioner Garcia's office, and you have a representative from your congresswoman's office. And those are individuals who can make budgetary decisions in that area. So not only are we facilitating by telling you about LBJ, but we've also created an environment where if that thing that you just said just went straight to your elected official. So yes, we hear you. And thank you.
I just want to add to what Mr. because I just wanted to add feedback on what she just said. So this project is for the expansion of the existing LBJ campus over on the East Freeway. I just want clarity on that.
The architects are designing the hospital that will replace the existing LBJ, yes.
Okay.
So specifically tonight, yes. There are other elements to our strategic plan as a health system, but specifically tonight to talk about the campus.
And I think that's a good jumpstart from this point on. I think what Freddie wants, and it's ideal, that we get urgent care centers in our community that are an extension to what LBJ is about. If the patient needs transferring, like satellite centers, exactly. And I think that's the next step, but for now, I think the services that are needed there is something that you're gonna hear from us. And I believe that if you put us in focus groups and the type of topics you want us to cover, then we can become more specific on what we can offer as far as the community.
That's great.
And I want to add something.
Okay.
Diane, thank you so much. But let me share. Harris County Commissioners Court, commissioners appoint our trustees. Harris County Commissioners Court approves our tax rate. Harris County Commissioners Court approves our budget. Those are the decision makers.
Right.
So, to Deidre's point, where does it start? Actually, Dr. Forsett, he fights and fights and fights, and, we've gone through this exercise recently at the Commissioners Court. It wasn't easy, not everybody was attending Commissioners Court meeting during the budget hearings and regarding the tax rate, but we need the political will. You've been an elected official, you know that.
Well, we have a 4-year window of opportunity.
Right, and
So
I'm glad,
we
yes,
have to jump
Chara,
on it now.
from Commissioner Adrian Garcia's office.
My name is Chara Boone. I'm from Commissioner Angel Garcia's office. I'm his Director of Health Services. My name is Chara Boone. I work for Commissioner Angel Garcia, and I'm his Director of Health Services. So I just wanted to say that thank you guys for sharing your thoughts and opinions and recommendations of what you need. And so it's my job to take that back to him. So I just want to thank you for your input, and we're definitely, I'm sure you guys know him, he listens to everything, right? And so we're definitely going to take your concerns back to him.
Okay.
And as a veteran, I just want you to know that when we spoke out to Commissioner Garcia's office, he listened and he acted. And so I think that this is a beautiful environment. I'm glad you did. And I hope that I encourage you. We will be doing focus groups. We will be in your community. This is not the last time you're going to see us. And I think it's great to hear your voice because it matters.
Also at this center, will LBJ have its very own heart center, cardiac center, instead of having to send patients to St. Joseph's?
Yes. So yes, we will have a cath lab, a cardiac catheterization lab. So those are some of the patients that currently have to bypass us to go either Bentop or St. Joseph's or elsewhere in the Texas Medical Center. So that is one of the new capabilities that comes with building towards a level 1 trauma designation, is to include specialties that we don't currently have. And that is definitely, we actually just had a meeting today with our cardiology team and our neurology team to kind of make sure that we knew what it would take to take care of stroke patients and to take care of cardiac patients. So yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Yeah, and I.
Yes, you can.
Okay, according to your what is this, frequently asked questions. So you're gonna have a bond referendum, and at this point, you do not know how much that bond referendum is going to be in order to provide all these services, and do you have any approximate idea of how much, if it's gonna raise our taxes? Of course, I'm willing to pay it if it's gonna bring all the services. If it provides what we need. We already pay too much in taxes.
Like a great question, thank you so much. The short answer, do we know how much everything's gonna cost as we stand here today? No.
I figured that.
We do not, okay. Again, if we have to get a green light from Harris County Commissioners Court to pursue a bond referendum. Remember I said they approve our tax rate, our budget, they appoint our trustees. They need to give us the green light. All the more reason, if you think we need, if we get a bond referendum, it'll help pay for that. We don't know how much we're gonna ask Commissioners Court for yet. We don't know.
So do you need support from the community to be there?
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. And when we get closer to that, I think we have to go, if we're fortunate to be on the ballot next November, that decision's gonna be made about August, or it has to go to Commissioner's Court agenda, and they have to say yes, and then approve to get on the ballot, et cetera. It's a whole process. But yes, we need the Commissioner's Court to hear from the public.
Yes.
And you need people to go around the community so that you can talk to them at the civic clubs and as senior citizens to support the effort of the.
I just appointed you an ambassador.
Hi, my name is Crystal. I just had a question about the food pharmacy. Is there intent for expansion of that in the new hospital and the nutritional services and the access to that?
Yes, so right now, we have the farm that was mentioned, so it is a really cool thing, and I'm so bummed that you actually said it right. Our farm, so it's over an acre of cultivated land, but probably more importantly, we connected and we partnered with the Houston Food Bank, and we currently have 4 food pharmacies around Harris Health System. One of them is located on the LBJ campus. We also sponsor a farmer's market in collaboration with the Northeast community. And the first and third Saturday of every month, on True Street in Lockwood, right after, just north of the highway, there's from 9 until 12, there's a food pharmacy. It accepts SNAP dollars and double up bucks. And so you can get things below cost. We use local farmers in the summer, in the spring. There's at least 5 or 6 different farmers. There's other makers and vendors that come to it. It's vibrant, it's small but vibrant community, and we probably have like 50 to 70 regular customers that come each weekend, rain or shine. And we're looking to invest in that. We're looking to invest in the farm. And part of the task that we charged the architects was they knew before they even got the job, they knew we were keeping the farm. So it's something unique. We actually partner with some of our super neighborhoods and go out into the community and do education. So how do you do vertical gardening on a patio, for example? They have giveaways for seeds and things like that. I'm a regular. I've become a true believer of this farmer's market. So.
And they say, just so I clarify, you brought up a very good point. We call it farm, but you guys know it as the community garden. So I do want to make sure that I clarify that it's the same place that she's talking about, and it is one of the places on the east side that is the envy of many areas of the city of Houston, because you all have proven that is a successful program, and outside of the city.
We upgraded it to a farm because garden just sounded like flowers, and it's a lot more than flowers. So, and there is an active plan to continue to expand it into other health centers within Harris Health.
Now, I have a suggestion. Because we live so close to the ship town here, and there's a lot of caustic type of leakages sometimes, as like our water system that just a week or so ago, we were told to boil our water, okay? There is community groups in Pasadena and Fort and such that have reporting of the leakages and also accidents at the plants to the workers that they're required to report to us, okay? Why not also have a emergency care? Because if they tell you you gotta evacuate, you can't breathe this stuff, or what if we breathe this stuff, or it gets into our water system again, where do we go with the expertise that can save our lives?
So, just to clarify, the question is then to.
So the question is more of a municipality question. So
Well, no. It could be medical, because if we
Oh, so you're saying.
If toxins are released or
Okay.
leakages,
She's trying
and
to-
people get, you know, poisoned from it, will they be able to go to this center because it's very close to the ship town?
So we actually partner in, at least in our area, with some of the creation of the lily pads and the concepts that are happening, springboarding through the multi-service centers. So we may not be the answer for some of those things, but we partner with others in the community that are. I will say though that a couple of years ago, I think it was actually pre-COVID, there was an accident at one of the plants, and one of our ambulatory care centers did set up a clinic that had extended hours very close to that area so that patients could get care. During Harvey, we actually hosted a primary care clinic in the NRG Stadium. So we do partner with the community and try to meet their needs.
That's great. All I'm saying is that at this new center that you're gonna build out, that you have trained personnel ready to take on these types of emergencies.
Yes, ma'am. And I will say, right now, we do have emergency response plans in our emergency center. So we have staff that are trained in the emergency center right now to decontaminate patients if they come in with a contaminant. We work very closely and actually have drills with the Houston Fire Department to implement this. There was actually an issue not too long ago. The regional advisory for our area is called SETRAC, the Southeast Texas Regional Advisory Council. They are an advisory council that talks and coordinates all the emergency responses in this region. And we work with them. They set up tabletop exercises where all of the emergencies and all of the hospitals in the region, you have to report in how many beds do you have, what is your status here, how many patients can you take, all of these things. And there's actually a regional dashboard that all of the emergency centers in Houston have, so we know the status of every other hospital in the region. And so we will only be able to enhance that as we grow the size of the hospital and as we grow the capabilities of the hospital. So yes,